everybody, and welcome to the 10th season of Talking the Fast Lane. Well, over these 10 seasons, I've had the opportunity to speak with some of hard rock's elite and tell the stories of the great albums, how they were written, and the great songs that they put out. And I had the opportunity to share those stories right along with you. Well, tonight, I welcome a very special guest. The Metal Cowboy himself, Ron Keel, is here to discuss his brand new album, Keelworld, which dropped on August 2nd. Now, this is 5 decades worth of great music, from Ironhorse to Keel to Steeler to Ronnie Lee Keel to the Ron Keel Band. There's so much here, and all brand new music that we know that you're going to enjoy. I know that I do. So let's get into it right now. Ron Keel, the Metal Cowboy himself, discussing Keelworld and his great storied history right now on Talking the Fast Lane.
Pleasure, man. You've always been in my corner, and I do appreciate your support, your friendship, and you helping me spread the word.
You better believe it. You better believe it. First, kicking it off right here, I want to say congratulations on this album. I mean, looking back over this and 5 decades, of your career, and I think this album encompasses all of that. How does that feel, to you when you look at this and you say, wow, this is absolutely amazing that this has come to this?
Yeah, it feels great, man. This is a very ambitious project, a dream come true for me. I'm glad we could pull it off. And we were able to do it with the contributions of so many great musicians, my band members in all of these different projects, producers, engineers, and recording studios across the country, and some even in the UK, that really came together to support this and deliver those tracks. And, the songs were the hardest part. I mean, I think that's the foundation of the record, are the quality songs that we built this album upon, whether it's the new Keel track, Steeler, Ironhorse, the Ron Keel Band, of course, does a lot of heavy lifting on this record, Emerald Sabbath, and the solo material, as well as the country stuff. So a lot of moving parts, and it feels great, man. Most albums, looking back on those 5 decades now, they're like, each one is a chapter in your story. None of them, even the 3 Keel albums, you go to the Right to Rock, which the Final Frontier was a huge evolution, and the next chapter in 86. And then the next year in 87, that self-titled Keel album had an entirely different identity. And you could see and hear the evolution of the band throughout those chapters as the story unfolded. Keelworld, I think, tells the whole story on one album.
Right. That's absolutely perfectly put. And there's so many great tracks on this too. When I listen through it, and I've listened multiple times, because I'm a huge fan. I mean, I couldn't, this is one of the ones that spins regularly. But what I like is it covers the diversity so much. I mean, like songs like Moving Target, obviously the new Keel track, and Steeler, Give Me Guitars or Give Me Death, and those are on the heavy side. But the new Ironhorse song, I love this song, A Guitar in the Grave, and the Ronnie Lee Keel piece of it, Neon Circus. Tell us how this all came together so seamlessly. Like you mentioned earlier about the diversity, and how different all this was. Tell us about how that came, because they did a fantastic job putting this together.
Thank you. Well, the material is extremely diverse, somewhat cinematic. I mean, like a movie soundtrack where you could have Dio and Madonna on the same movie soundtrack.
Right.
It's cinematic in that regard. And I do credit the fact that it's seamless. It is one sonic listening experience to my co-producer, Mike Dresch. And that was our mission when we started this thing, with different drummers, different drum kits, different drum sounds. I wanted to maintain some semblance of sonic identity, and I wanted it to sound not like a collection of stuff from the vault or different recording sounds or styles. It's got to sound cohesive. It's got to fit together. Right. And that was, I'll do credit to my co-producer, Mike Dresch, who knew what I wanted and really achieved that in the mixes and the mastering, making sure everything's balanced. And like I said, it starts with the great songs, but it's really diverse, going from Moving Target to Faster Horses,
Right.
of
That's right.
Guitar in the Grave to Children of the Grave. There's a big contrast there. And I love that contrast in life and in music and in all things entertainment. I believe a good action movie has got to have a great sex scene, right? I mean,
Right. Right. Right.
and this is kind of like that. You've got your action scene, you got your sex scene, you've got your car chase, you got all the elements of a
That's
great
right.
action movie in one listening experience. So I credit my co-producer Mike Dresch with maintaining that sonic identity, because it's not easy when you get all of these different musicians and different files and drum kits in different studios from different locations and different
Right.
engineers who recorded all this stuff to make it sound like it all fits and belongs together. And I certainly credit Mike with making that happen.
And you put that so well, because sonically this sounds fantastic. I mean, it like I said, it rolls seamlessly. What's it like in the studio for this, Ron? I mean, like you said, you had so many different, pieces to this. When you guys went in there, what was it like playing with these guys again and putting all this together? Because these songs, even though it's people look at the past, but I look at, man, look what these guys are doing now and how great this sounds. It says a lot, for the people that you work with and yourself, obviously, as a
Well, thank you.
musician, as an artist.
Well, like I said in the song, The Last Bottle on Earth, the closer on the blue version, if you live in the past, you die in the past. And I celebrate the past and my history and my accomplishments, all that. I'm very thankful and grateful for all of that. And I had some great dreams. All my dreams came true, man. Everything I wanted to do, pretty much, I did. But my windshield is a lot bigger than my rearview mirror. So I don't take a whole lot of time looking back. I
Right.
did during the songwriting process, creating the material. You have to kind of put yourself, when you're writing a new Steelers song, you can't write it like you're 63 years old. I mean, you've got to go back to that hungry time when you were 20 and capture that 80s vibe with Give Me Guitars and Give Me Death. So it was a challenge to find the right pieces for that song, the lyrics, the riff, the chord progressions that support the lyrics during the verses. But it was fun. It was part of the journey. It was part of taking me back to where I wanted to be in the context of that song. And
Right.
the Ron Keel Band songs were a totally different writing process. The Keel song was a different writing process. So you put yourself in that position of what's a Keel song? And I knew Moving Target that's Keel, man. There's no denying that's a
That's
Keel
right.
song.
That's right.
Although Ron Keel Band could have cut any of this stuff, I do want to make that disclaimer, John, because my band does everything. We do Keel, Steeler, Black Sabbath, all that stuff during the course of
Right.
our show. And my
Right.
band can play any of that stuff and could have been a Ron Keel Band album until I realized we had a Keel song. And Mark and Brian and Dwayne and the guys in Keel were all excited about it. And I had a Steeler song. And the guys in Steeler were all excited about it. And I realized, well, if you got Keel, you got Steeler, you got Ron Keel Band, we've got something to build on. We got a strong foundation here, and I'm just glad it came together the way it did. I'm in that phase now where I can listen to it and enjoy it and put it. You get in my truck, you crank it up, and it's going to blow your hair off. I mean, it blew my hair off.
That's right. Mine too. Mine too.
I listen to it. I enjoy it. I love my work. That's not narcissistic or egotistical. It's just the fact that I really love what we did, and I'm really proud of it.
And you should be. And I think what's so great about this, and listening to all this is the fact that, you tie into all these different elements, obviously the countryside and the rock side and the metal side. But what I love about it is in each of these songs, I know it's you. There's that piece that you brought so much in the history of what you've done that I know, hey, this is Ron here.
That means
And
a
they
lot,
all
man.
sound
That's really
great, man.
cool.
They really
Thank you.
do.
That really means a lot. And that was the goal, is just to be me, because you can't please everybody. I
Right.
know from selling
Right.
3 million records, that means there's billions of people who don't like me or don't want what I do. And I'm cool with that. I have to please
Right.
myself first. And then you put something like this out and you get reactions like the reaction that you're giving me or that we've gotten from the other fans or the media. And that feels really good that people they understand it. They get it. it is important because we're all, I mean, from the time I was just a kid jumping up and down and trying to put on a show, you want to put yourself out there
Right.
for criticism or for adoration. Either way, I mean, you're going to get both throughout the course of a project like this, because it is extremely diverse. And part of that joy is sharing it with people who get it. And I appreciate some of the compliments that I've gotten that weren't expected. I knew that everybody's going to love the new Keel, the new Steeler, and it's never going to be enough. We want more Keel. We want more Steeler. And they might hear some of the reaction to Guitar in the Grave, the Ironhorse track. Faster Horses has been really, really rewarding to me, and I'm very grateful that fans have at least given it a listen, and a lot of them have given it a thumbs up as well.
It's great because I see all the comments and I see what the media is giving it, and it's great to see that you're getting the accolades, from this. And one of my favorites on here is 5 O'Clock Shadows. And I know
Cool.
I've heard a lot of people say, "Man, what a great song this is." And like I said earlier, that's one of the songs that I think encompasses all of this, the countryside, the rock side. It's a great blend of what you do. Tell us about that track. Great song.
That song to me I love the story. It starts with the title, 5 O'Clock Shadows, and immediately it brought visions to me of a man and a woman both having an affair or cheating on their spouse. And in the 5 O'Clock Shadows, no one's going to know where you've been. And you try and tell a story with that, and you come up with a strong riff, and you build the song around the story, the lyrics, and the riff. And that was one of the songs that I wasn't sure if people were going to get it or like it or enjoy it. You always have that problem with story songs, because a lot of people they won't listen to the lyrics and listen to the story that we're telling. They'll just get the feel and the vibe and the groove and is it heavy? Yeah, it's got heavy guitars. It sounds kind of metallic. I thought when I did the vocal track on that, it was too aggressive. Certainly could have backed off a little bit on the mic and sung it a little more, maybe melodically or whatever, but it sounds like Ron Keel. I mean, I'm belting it out, and I decided to keep the take. I did the vocals for the entire album. 9 of the 13 songs were done in a studio with professionals behind the glass, and a really nice, probably $6,000 vintage Neumann U87 microphone.
Nice.
And I went to Phoenix, and I just locked in for a week, and I did 9 of the lead vocals in 5 days. And that was one of the songs that I did during the course of that session. And I just felt that it was important for me to get out of the house, get out of South Dakota, go to a real studio, work with pros with a great mic, and not have to worry about production or the levels or popping my P's or any of that stuff that you worry about when you're recording a track. Now, Moving Target was a whole different story, because Mark sent me the music. Mark Ferrari from Keel sent me that piece of music, and I just loved it. I thought, of course, it's vintage Ferrari push and pull, right to rock kind of riffs. And I immediately went to work on the lyrics and the melody, and the title Moving Target came into my head. And I got on this mic right here, which is a Shure SM7B. It's a decent, it's good for broadcast. It's good for, demos and stuff, but it doesn't compare to that vintage 1964 Neumann U87 that I used in Phoenix. It's a $400 mic, but I got on this mic and I did that lead vocal for Moving Target and laid it down pretty much first take. Took me a day as I'm working out the melodies and singing through it and, fixing some spots and kind of building the lyrics and melodies. And so I thought, well, that's done. That's Keel. That's a Keel song. And I think it's one of the best Keel songs ever. I think it ranks right up there in our top 5 of all-time Keel songs. So when I'm in the studio in Phoenix, cutting those vocals, did the 9 tracks, had plenty of time, money, budget, and schedule left to fix or redo whatever I wanted to do. And I just told the guys, let's fly that demo vocal into the master track after Dwayne Miller, Brian J., and Mark Ferrari had cut the track. Let's fly that demo vocal in there and see what happens. and it's the same tempo, same key, so it fit. And I listened to it and I go, man, I can't mess with that. That's magic. That's that first take magic. Even though it's on this
Right.
$400 microphone, I'm keeping it. And there it is. It lives on Keelworld.
You said that, and when I think of Keel, I think of magic because what you did and what you've done. It's that aggressive side, but it's also that, man, this is who we are. We're here to take care of business, and this is the sound right here. So you saying that about that track, I could definitely listen to it now and understand where it's coming from. Really
Yeah,
cool.
it's a strong tune, man. The response has been great. I'm really proud of it. And it's a special song. You're not going to get a song like that. They just don't fall off a tree, man. I mean,
Right, that's right.
that's magic, like you said.
Right.
And it to me captures the entire spirit of Streets of Rock and Roll, our reunion album from 2010, that 87 album, which sonically sounds great. And that was when we started writing really good hit songs. I think if Moving Target had come out in 1987, we'd be telling a different story today.
That's a huge song. I'm telling you, it would kill it. There's no doubt about that. You know what I like what you do too, and I don't know if I told you this before, is the fact that you sound just as good as you did back in the day, but even better now. I mean, there's you could hear that maturity in your voice, but also the life experiences too. With tying all this in the country, like I said, the rock. What is there anything that you do as far as a vocalist to keep that
Absolutely.
at that level,
You got to fight for it, man. That
right?
stuff doesn't come easy. And it is a lot of practice. I mean, I've had a lot of experience and practice, and I still sing and practice all the time. I was in rehearsal earlier today, and there's still some skin left on the throat for an interview like this. So yeah, I did a 2 hour rehearsal already today,
Nice.
and it is a combination of factors. First of all, it's genetics. I'm really blessed to be healthy. Thank God that I'm in good shape, and I take efforts to maintain my health. I do practice a lot. I do believe that if I were to take an extended period of time off, it would be really tough to get back on that horse
Right,
and ride. Like
right,
some guys, I think my peers maybe they don't do what I do at home. That's why they struggle in their 60s. I think Sammy Hagar probably sings everything. You can't shut that guy up, man. I mean, he's one of my idols, one of my heroes.
great. He's
Yeah,
great.
he's full of himself, but man, that's part of the deal. And I love Sammy, but he's still belting it out at a very high level into his 70s.
It's
Tyler was
amazing.
the same way. Steven Tyler, of course, that injury, but Tyler's a whole different animal, man. When you're doing Dream On and hitting those really super high screams, that's going to do some damage, and unfortunately, it did with Steven. Rob
Right.
Halford, another idol of mine, still killing it in his 70s. So so much of it is genetics, your health, your practice regimen, luck, and most importantly, you have to give a shit. You have to really care about the quality of your work. You can't just go out there and mail it in. If that day ever comes for me, I'm done
Right.
because I am not going to walk off the stage embarrassed ever.
Right. Right.
And so I'd like to finish strong. So I'm probably going to quit while I'm ahead at some point soon. And we don't want to get into the retirement debate or discussions, but that last show is going to have to be as strong as this album is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and through the course of your entire career, that was one thing that always stood out was the professionalism. Like you said, there's not many guys that continue to do this at that high a level. But like I said, I know that anytime I hear anything that you do, I already know the level that's going to be at. I know it's you, and you've set that precedent already as a musician, and I think that says so much about the history of your career and how it ties in perfectly with this album. It really
Thank you.
does.
Well, it's
It
not
really does.
easy. It's not easy. It's not fun, man. I tell you, when come down here in the basement, right behind the screen here is my stage where I have built a home stage with a PA system and everything where I go through my show every day. And man, you don't want to. Uh, you got to. It's like working out or taking medicine. I mean, it
Right.
tastes bad going
Right.
down, but it's good for you. It's going to make you better, right?
That's right. You got to do it.
It tastes terrible, and you don't, and you know, once you get into it, after the first couple of songs, and I'm down here in the basement rehearsing, it's a weird thing because I feel and see all of my friends and family that are no longer with us, all of my people that have passed away. They're like, there's like an audience of dead people in front of me, and it's maybe I'm imagining that, maybe I'm using that for my own mental motivation because I know they're listening and I know I want to make them proud. But sometimes in the basement, in these grueling basement rehearsals where I grind out the entire show with the moves, and I'm talking to the crowd and I'm pointing and I'm putting my fist in the air and I'm doing the whole show as if it's choreographed. And I'm
Nice.
singing to my dead mom and dad or my dead friends or bandmates that have passed away or all the people that loved me or believed in me. They're all listening, and it puts that pressure on me that I don't want to let them down. So I have some of my best gigs in front of them where nobody's
Right.
going to see it. And I get done with rehearsal and I'm beat up and I smell bad. I'm sweaty and tired. I can't talk. I go, man, I just hope Friday night's that good. I hope if the next gig is that good, then
Right.
I'm all right.
That's a great story. That really is. And to hear that, the professionalism, and you've always been about, your fans and about the people. Anytime that I've ever dealt with you on anything, you've always reached out with a kind word and assistance and I'll always remember that,
I appreciate it.
and I want to say thank you for that, for being, you know, artists, fans don't look at artists sometimes, as people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when you see the person there and you have that level of respect, I think you've earned that through everything that you've done. And
Well,
like
no
I
matter
said, I
what you
can't say
do,
enough.
no matter what you do or who you are, how much money you got or don't got, you're still a person first, and
Exactly. Exactly.
everything else, your job, your occupation, or your passion, or your art, that's all cool. It's all part of you. But uh, I've always tried to do the right thing. I think that's the cowboy attitude, man. That's the metal cowboy. That's where that comes
That's
from,
it.
because a cowboy always works hard, goes through the struggles with a smile and a beer, and opens the door for a girl, and offers a smile and a handshake, and you just do the right thing. That's the cowboy way, and it's not about riding horses and I do love to ride, and I do love the wilderness, and I love nature and being free and being alone out in the middle of nowhere. But
Right.
I think that's where the cowboy attitude comes from, is that desire to just be a good guy and do the right thing.
That's great to hear. And you just tied into this next question that I have is I know you've heard it a million times about how is a classic, Keel song or metal song written by you. But how about the country side of it? Because I think that the country side that you do is amazing. I mean, being a metal fan, obviously, I mean, growing up with Keel and then loving what you guys do. I love the country stuff too, because
I
I think you
appreciate
do it
that.
so well. Tell
I
us about
appreciate that.
what it's like to write one of those songs, from your perspective.
It's three chords and the truth, man.
Right.
It really is. There is a discipline, just like martial arts or sports, or there's a discipline to country music that has been established and evolved through the generations of when I was growing up in the 60s with Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and Hank Williams and Marty Robbins, and on through the 90s, which was a big era for us in country music. That's when I spent 10 years immersing myself in the art form that is country music and writing
Right.
my debut country album, Western Country, and some of those songs that I learned so many lessons that are not, it's not like rock and roll. It's not like metal. In metal, oftentimes, this is the way it's done. You'll come up with a riff and a piece of music, like we did with Moving Target.
Right.
The music was done. Now the singer's job is to put lyrics and melodies on top of that. And I know it's been done successfully. I did it successfully with Moving Target. I think it's a great piece of songwriting, but it's not real easy for me after that country evolution, because country is built around the voice, the melody, the story that you tell. And you can come up with a simple 3-chord progression underneath it as long as the singer really means what he's saying. There's no throwaway lyrics in country music. And I learned that lesson from writing country songs or from writing with some great country songwriters, is that every line, every word has to matter. In metal, a moving target, for instance, I'm a moving target. You can't hit what you can see. I'm a moving target. You'll never catch up with me. Kind of like Round and Round. Our love will find a way. Just give it time. Round and round. What goes around comes around. I mean, those are kind of, and I do the same thing, and I did it on Moving Target. You go back to that mentality of writing a Keel song. There's some latitude for, I don't want to say throwaway lines, but I'm just an outlaw with a target on my back. That's a cool line. It's rock and roll, it's metal, it's Keel, but it's not going to fly in country music. Every line has to tell part of the story. Every line has to really mean something and make you feel something and take you on the next step of that journey. Even if it's about chasing women or drinking beer, there's a certain standard that's been established in country music. So it's really difficult to write a good country song, and especially difficult to sing a good country song. The songs on this record, like Neon Circus, Pastor Horses, they were the most challenging of the entire session for me.
Great songs too. Great song. It's great to hear how you write that. And I tell everybody that I interview and get a chance to talk to, it makes me a better listener when I know what the artist felt when they wrote it. Then I go.
Well, there's some of the songs on the record, I must confess, I did not write. And that's always been the case with me. I mean, I consider every song an original because somebody wrote it. And I consider every song a cover because once you record it, you're going to be covering it for the rest of your life. So some of the big Keel hits, Somebody's Waiting, Tears of Fire, I didn't write that. Mark Ferrari wrote that. I catch lightning in a bottle at times with songs like 5 O'Clock Shadows or The Last Bottle on Earth, Taking Me Back, which is another one of my favorites from this record. But I did not write all of the songs on this record. I reached out to my buddy John Edwards, who is, in my opinion, the best songwriter on the planet. He's got gold and platinum records on the wall from working with Jason Aldean. He's written #1 hits for Jason Aldean. And I was looking for an Ironhorse song because that's a very special musical identity. And John wrote 2 songs on our 2004 Bring It On album, which became signature Ironhorse tracks. And I was digging for a song that fit that Ironhorse identity, and I couldn't find it. So I reached out to John. I said, do you have anything? And this guy writes 3 hit songs a day. I mean, he's got hundreds of songs that we'll never hear. I said, you got anything that would work for Ironhorse? So he sends me 30 songs like that, on the phone, and I'm listening to every one of them, and they're all amazing. He's just an amazing talent. You can't compete with that. Just like lead guitar. I didn't play any lead guitar solos on this record either, man, because I got some badass dudes doing the heavy lifting.
That's right.
Some great guitarists. Mitch Perry on the Steeler track, Brian J. and Mark Ferrari on the Keel track, Dave D.C. Cawthorn on the Ron Keel Band tracks, Jason Haven on Ron Keel Band and the lead track, Hollywood, which is track 1.
Great song.
Gosh, who else? There's Jay Rusnak from Ironhorse, the same lineup that was on that Bring It On album on this new Ironhorse track. So I had some great talent on the lead guitar side of things, and that gave me more freedom to focus on singing. And I must confess also, which is different for me. You don't know me that well, but this is the first session that I've ever done sober. And I still have a drink, I haven't quit drinking, but I didn't drink at all during the sessions, which was a first for me. I'll usually, if it's vocal time, I have a couple shots to loosen up and get the pipes going, especially if it's a metal screaming kind of song. This time I didn't do that. I vowed to do the entire session sober, whether I was playing guitar or singing lead vocals, harmony vocals, acoustic guitars, whatever. And I think the results are, I'm really proud of it. It was tough because, after the first verse or the second verse, I could sure use a shot right about now.
To warm up.
I didn't. And the hardest part was the drinking song on the record, which is Weekend with My Friends.
Right.
And the lyrics of the song, I mean, this is the ultimate drinking song. It's like if Van Halen was from Alabama, right? That's just what they would sound like. And in the lyrics, I'm talking about Jack and Jim Beam and Jose Cuervo and Sam Adams and Bloody Marys, and all the lyrics are drinks that are named after human beings. And I thought, if I'm going to take a drink, this would be the time to do it. But I did. I did that vocal totally sober and knocked it out in one take. So then I proceeded to party after that.
That's it. Take care of business and get out there.
Yeah. It worked out all right, man. I'm really proud of the results, and I can live with this one. This will be something that I'm going to be treasuring now and for the rest of my life. I'll be listening to it, looking back on the experience. 3 years of writing and recording, very expensive, a lot of studios, a lot of moving parts, a lot of guys that contributed their talent. And I'm really proud of the results. And I haven't really gone back over the accounting, because I'm the head of the label too, right? RFK Media. I'm in charge of the budget. So
that's right.
I am scared. I'm scared to look back at what we really spent on this thing.
That's right.
I think we're close to, we got to be at least halfway back to recouping our investment, because the sales have been incredible. Amazon sold out the first day. Tower Records sold out the first day. Amazon's back ordered. We are in our third pressing already. We pressed 2,000 at a pop, and we're already, well over 5,000 units. So
that's great.
I think you got to split that up. There's a lot of hands out. A lot of the pie gets split up so many ways. But I think we're going to at least make our money back on this one.
That's great to hear. That is great to hear.
And I know you being a label chief, you've been through that. You know how much it costs and how much you could possibly make. And your physical sales are where you make the dough. Once it comes out on Spotify, I mean, we've had, I think, 20,000 streams, which is cool. I'm really happy about that. But that's right. You need 1 million streams to get $3,000. So it's
I know. It's
the glass is not half full yet.
It's funny you brought that up, and you and I were talking when you were first talking about doing this Keelworld.
Yeah.
How many years ago that was? 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years
ago. Seems like it went fast. But I remember you telling me too about, make sure you get the pre-orders in.
Yeah.
And make sure, because once it hits the digital, you're that's the end right there, basically.
It really is. And it's the world we live in. And there's nothing we can do to change it. I know that Spotify is the devil, and whatever, but it's not going to change. It's not going to go away. And just like the guy who used to build covered wagons, he was pissed when Henry Ford invented the car.
That's right.
Cars ain't going away, man.
No, they're not.
I'm not riding a covered wagon drawn by horses or mules. I'm getting me one of them fancy cars. So it's so many jobs have been eliminated by technology.
That's right.
So many people are have to find a new way. In new times, we've all got to make new ways. I've been able to do it by seriously working extremely hard, by offering a lot of different products or aspects of my life, whether it's songwriting, TV and film work, acting. I'm doing a movie now, the book,
nice.
Hosting the radio show, the KRFK radio station that we are a part of. RFK Media has our own station, krfkradio.com, and that's doing really well. We've got some great advertisers that keep that part of the ship afloat. So you've got to diversify your portfolio, so to speak, in order to make a profit these days.
And you just brought that up, and I was leading into that was the formation of RFK Media. When you did that, and you got a great thing that you're doing there, and some great bands too. Obviously Roy and the Fifth, and Crashing Wayward. Tell us about that and how that got started, because that's another aspect that I was really happy to see you're being successful with, and it says a lot. It ties.
Well,
all
I appreciate
that in,
it. It is, as you know, and you've been a label chief with RFL Records. You know exactly what that job entails.
Oh yeah.
Instead of lyrics on my desk, there's a pile of spreadsheets. It's It all stemmed from when Bill Chavis, our friend Bill Chavis, and his wife Lori passed away from COVID. I was signed to High Vol Music in 2020. We'd released South by South Dakota, and we were planning on moving forward when Bill died of COVID.
Right.
And all of a sudden the label's gone. I mean, there's what am I going to do next? And you've got limited options these days. The labels with enough money to finance something like Keelworld. It's expensive.
Right.
And I wanted to own it. I just wanted to own my own property. I didn't want to rent anymore. And
Right.
with another label, it would have been front money. You're going to get a licensing deal for 3 years, and they're going to give you X amount of cash to make the record, and then you're done. I mean, literally.
That's right.
And you see this with some of our other labels that not competition, but other labels, and I won't mention any names, that they'll put out a record, spend a ton of money on it, do a big 3-week promo blitz and media interviews like we're doing now, and then a month later, the album is old news. We have a different philosophy with RFK Media. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I've learned that all of my albums are still selling. In fact, I have huge demand from our distributor right now for the Ron Keel Band, Fight Like a Band, and Metal Cowboy that I released 10 years ago. They're
Nice.
beating me up to reissue that on CD and vinyl because they're getting a ton of demand for that product. So I know that, and I'm still selling back catalog of everything that RFK Media owns and distributes. So I don't believe there's a shelf life on good music. I believe
Right.
that a good album is still going to have, it's going to be relevant years from now. And we're not one of those labels that buys YouTube streams or Spotify listeners or followers or Facebook. You know, you can buy followers. How
That's
many
right.
Facebook followers do you want? Fork out $700 and you got a ton of them. YouTube views. If you see a band out there that's got 150,000 YouTube views and 300 subscribers, anybody
Right.
in the industry knows that they bought those views. You can go to, there's a
Exactly.
few sites and you know where they are, where you
Yep.
can just go, pay your fee, and the next day you'll start seeing 25,000, 30, 40,000. I don't do any of that. Billboard charts, kiss my ass. Because with what Keelworld
Right.
has sold in the last week, we should be top 30. But it's all bought and paid for, man. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pay people to like me. To me, that is prostitution.
That's right.
When you pay somebody to pretend that they like you, you're a hooker.
That's right.
And you know, I've got
In
my
the music.
price. I've got my price, you know,
Yeah.
but it's only $15, man. You can buy it or you can go to Spotify and subscribe and get it for free. You can be one of those 20,000 people that have streamed Keelworld on Spotify. And as long as you're enjoying it, I'm happy. I do believe that we'll recoup and make money, and we have sold out of almost everything we've done and reordered. So as long as there are people out there that want to collect physical product, and I'm a firm believer in physical product. I want to hold it in my hand.
That's the
I
way it should be.
realized that, you know, one thing that really taught me the value of that was that upstairs we have an altar to our family. It's a corner unit, and on each level of the altar, there's shelves. There's our wedding photos and our relationship and my life with Renee on one level. The next
Nice.
level is her family and her mom and dad and her cousins and brother and sister. And then another level is my mom and my dad and all that. And I'm looking at this, and some of these photos are from the 40s. You know, there's some of them are from the 40s, 50s, all these years. The photos of my mom and dad are great. And I'm looking up there going, man, I got no photos of my grandkids because they're all in the freaking cloud. They're all on my phone or they're all in the cloud.
Right.
There's
Right.
no photos of my grandchildren up there. So I put them on a flash drive, go to Walmart, print them out, put them in a frame, and now they're up there. But that's physical. That's not going away. Those photos of mom and dad that were done 80 years ago are
Right.
still just like brand new
Right.
in a frame in my collection. This is going to be just the same 80 years from now. Good luck finding your download 80 years from now.
That's
Not
right.
that any of us are going to be around 80 years from now, but just, you know, that's
That's right, though.
it's property. it's property, and you can't have your property living in a cloud somewhere. Like, I'm a firm believer in that. I do buy a lot of downloads. I'm an iTunes junkie. If an album comes out that I hear, first of all, if it's one of my favorite acts, like AC/DC, Scorpions, Judas Priest, Brooks and Dunn, whatever, I'll buy that the day it comes out on download. I'll also buy a physical copy. So I'm an iTunes junkie. A lot of the stuff you hear on my radio show, I'm looking for it and I can't find it, and I need it right now because I'm on the air. Download it and you can play it on the show. So it is a great convenience, and I enjoy that.
That's right.
That ability to have instant access to my music. But none of these platforms, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, or any of them, none of them prohibit you from buying a physical copy. They just don't, because I already got it or I already heard it. If you really like it, you really want it, you should own it.
That's right. That's right. You brought that up, and
I'm preaching. Damn. Sorry, John.
But I'm following, Ron. What's nice is to have that physical copy. I mean, there's things, and I do it like you do. I'll buy the physical copy just to have it or to support the artist. And I think that's what, we as fans need to look at. You guys can't exist unless we're there, to help it along. And the great music needs to have co-workers. Hey, fan support, get out there. I always tell everybody, get out there and support these guys, because they need us. They need our support. If this music dies, and that's the main thing that we need to do. And you said the world there. Get out there and buy those CDs. Support the guys. Go see them. Listen to their music. Spread the word. Don't make it a one-time, hey, we're going to listen to this song and share it, and then forget about it, because it means the world to us. To me as a fan.
That certainly does help, man. I can't deny that. The pre-sales for Keelworld, like I said, have helped us recoup our investment. So I'm really thankful and grateful to all the fans that have bought that. Cold Sweat as well. That's been a big seller for us. That Cold Sweat Unburied Alive album.
That's a great album.
I just, when I buy the new Judas Priest, I'm not supporting them. I'm supporting me. That's my stuff, man. I want that. I'm going to put, I won't have a vehicle without a CD player. I went and just bought a new RV for the band to tour around the country in. This was, almost a year ago now when I bought the rig. And one selling point was it's got a CD player. It's got to have a CD player. We bought my wife a new Jeep.
Nice.
Renee's got this really fancy new Jeep, and it's got all the bells and whistles and the heated seats, and you can automatically program where you want to sit, and everything state of the art. And so we brought it home, and I take a CD out there, and I can't wait to hear how it sounds, right? And I'm looking all over the car, and there's a USB port. I mean, come on, man. I think it's a distraction. When I'm driving and I'm listening to Keelworld, I hit button. Okay, next song. I usually just listen to the whole thing top to bottom. Highly recommended that you listen to the whole album top to bottom. It's great on a road trip.
I agree. And, listening to it, like you said, it's just everything ties in so nicely. I mean, you wouldn't even realize that it's all these different styles because it flows so nicely. I think that's one of the main things that I love about the listen to that. It's an enjoyable album, and everybody that's listening that's going to hear this, get out there and get this album. If you love, melodic hard rock, and if you love country and everything that Ron does, this encompasses all of it right here.
Thanks. And
in one piece.
I know that, like I continue to say, and we spoke about in the beginning, it's very diverse, but I don't see any restrictions on styles or genres. Whether it's a movie that I'm watching, I love a good comedy, I love an action movie, a drama, a documentary film. I enjoy them all for their entertainment content and quality. And it was important, as we've said, that Keelworld has that sonic identity. Even though the actor, and I'm going through this now with this movie role, because what I'm doing is I go from mean, angry, scary to heartbroken. Just the arc of the character in this film is really challenging. Just like we do on Keelworld. I go from that screaming metal dude to that wandering lonesome cowboy out there on the road. And, there's those different personalities, but it's all me. And that's what's
Right.
important. And you did bring that to light. So I appreciate that. The sonic cohesiveness of it. And if you're watching a movie and the actor, for 1 second, if you don't believe him or her, and they lose character, you'll bail on the flick. I don't think he would really do that. That's
Right.
not really, that's not real. That's not real. And if
Right.
it's not real, you're going to bail on the movie, just like the listening experience of Keelworld. Everything on this record is real. And
That's
it's
right.
from the heart.
That's right. That's the way you've delivered it since day one. The first time I, obviously heard, Steeler, because that was my first CD.
Wow.
That was the first CD I ever purchased. I had everything else on cassette, and then finally, yeah, I got to get this, and going all the way through. And this really says, a lot about your history
Right
and
on, man. I
and
appreciate all that.
and the stuff that you did. Well, closing run. When you reflect back over your musical career, what are some of the things that stand out that you're most proud of? And I
This,
know there's got to be a
yeah,
lot, man.
yeah. This album, just the longevity of being, doing what I always wanted to do and what I love doing, and being able to do it for 50 years, that stands out. Of course, the experiences, the friendships, the amazing moments where you do realize those dreams come true. But I think at this stage of the game, the most rewarding part is still being in the game and knowing that Father Time is undefeated, and at some point he'll get the best of me. And I have had one hell of a ride. It's been amazing. The Keel tours and some of my best memories have been this year, because as you realize that there's more behind you than there is in front of you, and you know that uh, you're on borrowed time, and you just want to maintain that level and go out swinging. And to have the shows that we've done this year with my band, going back to Hollywood for our first show with Ron Keel Band, my first show in Hollywood in 10 years at the
Right.
Whiskey, where it all started for me back in 1982.
Right.
That was a total victory, man. And a 2 hour and 45-minute beatdown from me and the boys in the band, and a packed house, and just those I'm more grateful for that than some of the stuff that we took for granted back in the day. The sold out tour of Japan, where we're headlining and the tour sold out. And yeah, it's great, and I'm very thankful for that. But I certainly didn't appreciate it then like I do now.
Right. Yeah, as you get older, you start looking at things a little differently, and
That's for
it's
sure.
deeper. It's definitely a deeper meaning. And I think, these songs do have that heart, that deeper meaning. And you could tell that, that what you guys did and what you did in this, the passion, for this is
That's what it
really
takes,
there,
man.
man. It
I'm
really is
glad that you
there.
like it. I'm glad that we've gotten that response from people like you that really matter to me.
We love it. I mean, I highly recommend it. And closing here, what do you want the legacy of Ron Keel to be? I know
I
it's a
don't,
tough
I don't,
question,
I don't know. I don't believe in a legacy. I don't believe in any. I don't give a shit about any of that.
but
Ah, yeah, piss on my grave if you want. So this is a disposable society, and what you're going to get is, for 3 days after I die, you're going to get on Facebook, and then they're going to forget about me, and then every year maybe somebody will post, Ron Keel died on this day, 10
right,
years ago, or
right.
what. The legacy, my ass. I'm here. I'm here for the party. I'm here for the party right now.
That's right.
Take my
Live it.
legacy and shove it. I mean, I'm living every moment, every vision, every step on this journey, every kiss, every song, as if it were the last bottle on earth. That's all that matters to me, man. I want to enjoy my life, be a good guy, do the right thing, work hard, bust my ass, and enjoy the party.
Hey, you've done it, man. The hard work, the things that you've done, and coming from me as a fan, man. The thing I want to close with is I want to thank you so much for doing what you do, because like I said, I look back at stories of my life, and I've told you this one before, when I got the Final Frontier confiscated in high school, the day it came out, my
Yeah.
Walkman, you know always, one of my favorite albums of all time. But getting to know you now, and know the effort that you put into this music and the things that you do for the fans. Just thank you so much, man. I mean, really, I love it. It'll always be a part of my life, and I want to thank you for making
Thank
that
you,
happen.
man. That means the world to me, and it's the greatest reward that any of us can have, is that people like you, people that matter, have made our music part of the soundtrack of their lives. And there's no greater victory than doing that. And I'm forever grateful to you and anybody whose lives have been affected in a positive way by anything that I've done.
And you've done a lot, man. You really have, man. And just
I'm not
knowing
quite done yet.
that, and you keep going. You go as long as you can. So
I'll
where
do my best.
everybody, Keelworld, where can they get it, Ron? Tell everybody how they can connect with you.
All the links are at keelworld.com. There you can go find the different ways to purchase this thing, whether it's downloads, the physical copy. You've got the Patreon edition, which is the director's cuts, the limited edition, which includes 2 bonus tracks. And I don't sell these. These are not for sale. These are, if you join for $6.99, I'll send you one of these for free and an autographed photo and a Keelaholic patch and a guitar pick and all the other cool shit. You're going to get this for free. I said
Nice.
free. If you join Patreon, you can bail after 1 month. You can cancel for $6.99. I'll take that gamble. I'll take your $6.99. I'll send you $20 worth of stuff, and I'll bet you stick around. So it's
That's
all
right.
at keelworld.com, ronkeel.com, and rfkmedia.com. The radio station, of course, is krfkradio.com, but there's links to all that stuff at ronkeel.com.
And everybody, this is a guy that when he says it, he means it. He backs it up. I got so many cool things from you, and I got my Keel poster sitting behind me in my office, all signed up from the Right to Rock,
Right
and
on.
all the stuff that you sent, man. It's fantastic. So, Ron, I want to say thank you for joining, me and talking to Fastlane. You have a supporter here forever. I love what you do. I can't wait to see, the movie and obviously what's next, because it's always something. It's
Always something.
something
Well,
great,
thank
man.
you, John. I appreciate what you do as well. You're doing a great job keeping the music alive yourself, and I'm glad we had
Thanks,
this
man.
chance to talk about it.
It was great. It was great having you on the show. And anytime you're doing anything, you're welcome back here anytime.
Let's do
You're
it. All
open
right.
invite, man.
Thank you.
All right, we're good. Thanks, Ron. Have a good night.
You too.